Welcome to season 4, and we are on our second live stream, and we have one of our favorite friends with us today. We've come to you before with Book Creator, and we've talked to different people with Book Creator, but a little over 9 months ago, we met Farmer Faubs. And we fell in love with her. She is so great. She has been putting herself out there, connecting with people all over the Midwest, and has been only with Book Creator for 9 months, but has been in this kind of work forever. Right, with technology and technology integration.
Actually, you know what's cool is that I didn't even know this ed tech world existed until 2 years ago. Fun fact.
All right, that's great.
There's my friend. There's my friend.
Yay! Thanks for being able to hop on. So she's been with Book Creator for 9 months, but she's already connected with 20 different schools, and she also helps people all over everywhere to help know more about Book Creator. And one of the ways that we've connected is she's actually came into Elaine's classroom and my classroom, and you'll see some of those pictures in our slides where she's come in, and I thought I knew a lot about Book Creator, and then she just helped us level up that much more. And that's what this season's about. It's about how to take some of that tech, how to take that STEM that you're doing in your room and just level it up. And a lot of times we do that through Book Creator. Mm-hmm. Elaine was just telling me a minute ago that she's changing some of the things she's doing in her room. Is that correct, Elaine?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I'm starting to use Book Creator for a lot more than just books. So we finished, and I'll show you my book that we made this year. You have to come. I came up with some neat tricks because I wanted to give the kids a template this year. Yeah. But there's 3 different teachers, so I thought it'd be easy if I put my face on it, that they would know it was mine. Yeah. And then they started deleting the pictures and putting their own on there. I was like, you guys, what are you doing? But they had to do an update case report it's not clicking over to my link. Okay, so I'll just talk about it. They have to do an updated case report for Anna Garcia to give to the police commissioner. And in the past, we've always done it as a screencast. And I am pretty fed up with my screencasting options since I lost Flip and my great sadness. And so listen, Book Creator has that video camera built into it. It doesn't drop a video. It doesn't just spin and not work. And so what the kids did is they created on each page the pictures of the crime scene. And then there's that snippet of them telling the police commissioner, and we found this piece of evidence and this piece of evidence. It was by far the best project I have ever gotten on this one. And every kid participated, and that I didn't let them see each other's until we published them. And so that's a high school use of Book Creator. And so it just started. Now the wheels are rolling. I'm really changing up a couple of different things in my classes and adding more Book Creator than I already did because I get such a good product.
I think it's funny because I feel like our paths crossed for a reason because she's talking about how Book Creator can be used for high school, and I say it louder for the people in the back because it's a great way to really have good content. And I say Book Creator is a content creation tool. That's what it is. People think and hear Book Creator just think books. But it's a content creator tool, and it doesn't matter what age you're going to be creating content. And I am constantly showing Elaine's books to people that are like, I teach high school, it can't be used. I'm like, check this out. And it's just really where you can see every student, it reaches every student in your classroom, and it's a big replacement for Flip. Y'all know me. If I chose from doing a multiple choice test, or I could create a video, what do y'all think I would do? I'd create a video. So it gives kids options, voice, choice, just all kinds of things. And, I will always say being a highlight of my book creator journey was definitely visiting y'all schools and y'all classrooms. Like I still see the kids. You know, I walked into Dayna's class and they're like, everybody's in a cowboy hat. And so, like, we have some amazing pictures. Like that was a true Yeehaw moment for me. So yes, I love seeing these books and you know, kids, student voice, right? Was when kids are able to talk about it, they're able to remember it. They're able to really elaborate it and share their story, share their journey. So I love this. I'm always so glad because I have more content to show those high school teachers.
I love it. And I heard like your call out to Universal Design for Learning, UDL, and just giving students the opportunity to share their learning and to share their creativity in the way that's best for them. And for some kids, that's a video. For some kids, that's a comic book. I mean, there's so many choices. And I think even as a professional using Book Creator to showcase content I'm creating, there's nothing like it. Everywhere I go, there's nothing like it. And I want to call out Yeehaw moments are not just for kids. Like if you look at that bottom right picture, that's my husband. We visited the high school and they were like totally geeking out over their shoes. That was his Yeehaw moment for the day.
That was his Yeehaw moment right there.
Like let's not forget as adults, we need to be excited about the content we're creating and the things that we are using in class to teach our students. Like, look how excited the little boy is in the bottom left-hand corner. We need to show up to work every day with that excitement and enthusiasm because it will be contagious. So I just love it. I love you've coined the Yeehaw moments because I think it's like universal now. If you hear someone say Yeehaw moment, they relate it right back to Farmer Faubs.
Yeah. You know, and I think, you know, somebody, told me the other day that, you know, I'm definitely, when they hear Yeehaw moments, they hear Farmer Faubs. But I also, I want to throw out, what does Yeehaw moments really mean? And Karisa, you like nailed it on the head that, it's not just that every student deserves a Yeehaw moment, but our educators, our teachers deserve a Yeehaw moment. And like, what does that look like? I think no matter what age that you are, you have this like connection and you want to be creative. You want to create something. I see it all over social media when we create a graphic and everybody tweets it out and they love to personalize it. They love to have their own voice. And when, a project or something for our educators allows that individuality and allows them to have a voice, like that's that Yeehaw moment. That's that excitement. So, when we talk about Yeehaw moments and every kid deserves ones, I really say that every kid deserves opportunity to be creative. And, it's just a big passion of mine. I was that kid. I said the other day, I was the kid that Book Creator was created for, because, I was the kid that struggled in class. I struggled past tests, but at my, when back in my time, that's all they gave us, right? They gave us the option just to pass this test. And if you didn't pass that test, that was it, And so there was a teacher in my sophomore, junior year as a photography teacher, and he literally, he got me outside of my square. I was in this square, I was in this box, and he showed me that, hey, you can showcase what you know through creativity. And he had just gotten this software on their computer, something called like Photoshop, and he was, he's an older gentleman at that time. He's like, hey, go ahead and click buttons. And from then on out, my world of creativity and my Yeehaw moment, like that was it. So, teachers out there, you're listening, if you really want to give your kids opportunity to create, Book Creator is a great start because we see how simple it is, but also, Karisa, like that UDL, every kid has a voice in your classroom, whether they like to draw, they like to use their voice, they like to get on video, they like to add their text, they use speech to text, they use translations. Like it is a tool literally for every single kid in your classroom. And that is huge for me. So super happy and super, super excited to be on Book Creator's team because I was that kid. So I love seeing kids be creative. Like your classroom, Dayna, was a Yeehaw moment. And Elaine, seeing those kids be creative, like at the high school level, is like icing on the cake. So
yeah,
thanks.
Yeah.
Dayna,
think
can you share a little how you got them going this year with first graders, that maybe some can read, some can't read?
Right. Well, and that's the thing. I was just going to say, like, it's really something for everyone. And so the way that I started this year, and I kind of start with my first graders, and you'll see every page is unique to them, right? They were given the same task. We read this big book that's part of our reading series called Move, and then we created our own version. Each student chose an animal that they were interested in, so differentiated there. Then they were given one page based on their number in their classroom to find an animal image and put that in. Then they were shown the background eliminator, which is huge because a lot of people
That's
like
big. That's big.
Yeah,
Yes.
a lot of people like Canva because of that background eliminator, but this does it too. So you can not only have pictures that eliminate the background and then you build in your background, but then you can also use this to put students' pictures in front of whatever you want them to have as a background instead of using a green screen. So that particular book, they chose their animal, then they researched it on Magic School by doing a chat bot, talking to their animal and asking them, what are the things that you like to do? Because that was the objective.
Mhm.
We need to find 3 verbs. So they were learning verbs. I could have them do a worksheet and circle all the verbs.
Yep.
But that's not what I did.
Mm-mm.
I tried to use what Farmer's saying as far as trying to find that creativity. So they had to find 3 verbs that their animal did and then write them down. And they chose one verb, and then I could work on the text feature. We worked on the image feature one day. The next day we talked about how do we put our text in and how do we change the text and the font. And so then they got to work on that the next day. And then the final day in groups, we worked on how to write a sentence or type text. For me, it's speech to text, but then they all do that on their computer and then show me so I can help them correct it and learn how to correct. When you use speech to text, sometimes it doesn't give every word you wanted. Sometimes it does, and it's perfect. But if there's a lot of talking going around, then sometimes it doesn't do exact. So then they could show me. I corrected it for them and showed them how to use the correcting tools of that kind of thing. So it was a good foundation to start with. As far as we created 2 books within 2 weeks.
And I was going to ask, when you opened that book up, I saw that it had 24 reads. And this is something we haven't touched on, y'all.
Yes.
We talk about creativity and giving every kid a voice, and we've seen the finished product. But I think the icing on the cake of Book Creator that nobody else really has is that you can publish these books as you did. And you can send them out to your parents. You can send them out to, they then send them to grandparents and aunts and uncles. And, sometimes we put them on socials and people read them throughout the whole world. And I think there's a special part of that because, I did it with my kindergartner kids and they created a holiday book. We sent out to parents. In our little town, there was 41 reads and they were thrilled. But then there was actually a total of 98. So we zoomed out on that analytics map. And those kids sitting on that carpet, their eyeballs were huge. And at that moment, that was a yeehaw moment for me because they were able to see that other people were reading their books. And hey, my granddaddy lives in Seattle. My so-and-so. And then who's these people are in the UK? I said, oh no, that's a Book Creator Mafia over there, So it's really cool to see that you can publish it, share out a link. And you know what? When kids see their stuff is being seen by other than just their teacher, what happens to their creativity? What happens to their books? They start to level up more and more because they know, hey, Farmer Faubs could actually see this. Like my teacher might not send this to Farmer Faubs. And Karisa, I think that's actually how we connected. You had done you had tweeted out the Penguins one, and you had app smashed it with Adobe Express, and I was like, I need to know more. I need to send more. I need to connect with this group because they app smashed with Adobe Express. And tell us more about that project because I think it was amazing.
It
Just
was
how
so
you use
great.
that
That
process.
is how we connected. It literally, it started with me just meeting with a first grade teacher, and she's like, I'm kind of done with the same old project. We like color a penguin and write a few facts. I'm like, oh boy, look where we could take this. So we started with character chatbot in Magic School. They chatted with their penguin. They took note of some facts. Then we used Adobe Animate with Audio. They picked their background, they picked their penguin, they recorded themselves. They had 2 minutes to record all of their facts. So total presentation skills, right? You have to figure everything out in a 2-minute period. And then we took everything and put it into Book Creator so that it was easy to flip through. It became now a class book that could be shared out. This was the class. I mean, it probably has over 100 views right now, and some of them obviously overseas because of Book Creator. But this was the class. Every time I would go into their building, they would see me and say, can we check our analytics? Like they were first graders saying, can we check our analytics? And so I think it speaks to, like you said, knowing there's a real audience. Like love their teachers and they know their teachers are going to see everything, but having a real audience with like a real purpose, man, if I like try to think back to how we would have been so energized if this happened when we were kids, right? Like we're handwriting our books and
we're stapling those books together, and we're hoping grandma
we're
reads.
getting like the young author stamp on it. But to be able to actually publish and send it out in a click to the masses, that is so special. You're right. The analytics piece is huge. And what a like great like geography mapping lesson.
That's what I was getting ready to say.
Yes, to have kids say, oh my gosh, how far away is Texas? Oh my gosh, look, someone in England read this. How far away is England? That's really special.
I had a couple of things that kind of popped into my mind when you guys were talking, that those of us that use Book Creator a lot. The first thing that popped in my mind was that that you can really make it look like a professional publication. So like I said, I got the juices going, and the next project I'm doing in my anatomy and physiology class, they have to do a final report for their patient that they're going to do physical therapy with. And so they're creating this document like you'd be sending home with the patient, showing them the exercises to do, etc. But on the flip side, Farmer, there are like 10 trillion templates. If you're like, I don't even know where to begin. And there's activities teachers could do every single month. Like it is like a treasure trove. And the second thing I was talking about with your analytics thing, or thinking about, that I don't think people know until they kind of start using it a lot, they can create a portfolio that goes with them. And now all of a sudden you can see the book they made with Dayna in first grade, all the way through the book they made with me and everything in between. And I just think, oh my gosh, for a school district to be able to showcase what our kids could do in first with verbs, and then your senior English portfolio is like a stunning thing to me. And I just don't think people know it's inside a Book Creator.
Yeah, and I was in a trip in Texas last week, and I taught digital media in high school, and I was working with a broadcasting teacher last week, and we were just talking about like, a lot of kids take our classes and take electives, and they're creating these graphics, and they're creating just so many different things. But then they leave our class and they have nothing to take with it. And, I was also, when I was a senior in high school, even a senior in college, like I left not really knowing what I was going to put on that resume, but also not having like proof of what I had created. I could talk about it, but I didn't have proof, because when I left that class, all of my stuff was deleted. And I think it would be really cool, because kids are taking electives, and we're going to this is leading to this page, because this is exactly what this page is going into this high school class. And they had created this documenting their workflow of these squishmallows, whatever they're called. But a kid could take all their graphics or anything they do in CTE classes or welding or anything, and they could put it into a book. And when they leave, they can publish that book and take it with them. And what happens if those kids graduated and started looking for a job? Yes, they have their resume, but icing on the cake, do you think somebody's going to hire them if they showed them documentation of a book of what they did in that CTE class, in that elective class.
Yeah.
If I'm hiring a kid and they show me this, you're hired. But so many kids have nothing to show for when they leave those four walls. And that would be really cool. And on the high school end of creating that portfolio, no matter what you're into, whether you're a writer, whether you're a welder, whether you're a digital design, those kind of things. And I think that's huge to think that they could publish this and show that to employees. So I love that. And this actually is, visiting this high school class was really, really cool because they could actually take this with them if they really wanted to. So
I'm glad that Elaine called out the templates, because sometimes I forget. So I stuck on this bingo card because for YaySTEM, we were trying to come up with a way to engage teachers in a PD session. And we're like, oh my gosh, look at this bingo card that exists in Book Creator. We'll type in the things that we want people to try as we are demoing Book Creator and diving in. But think of all the ways you could use this to get the students really invested and excited about what you're teaching, using Book Creator, but also including some content. So good call out to
app
the
smashing, all kinds of things.
Yes. And these little bingo, like whatever they're called, the little bingo tiles, like drag on so the students can drag them over. Like, kids love this kind of stuff. The adults that we were leading in PD love that they could drag the tiles over. And so just another fun way to engage. And everybody loves a little competition. So we would have a little competition for who can get a bingo or cover the board. I think the last story we should definitely end with before we kind of wrap it up today is the story. A lot of these pictures are featured. So here's what I love the most. We have had multiple opportunities in Plainfield to have like cross-district collaborations, but this is probably one of my favorite, where Dayna in first grade paired with our family and consumer science teacher at the high school. And I just think to be able to show the first grade aspect all the way to these high schoolers that are smiling and giddy and so excited for what they created. So Dayna, I think we should probably end on this story before we wrap it up.
Okay. Well, I'll try to make it as quick as possible. So basically, I'm teaching vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel. So everything tends to have a purpose, but then I want to add that STEM twist. So I had the kids bring a Squishmallow to school because that's their favorite now, right? They love having Squishmallows. So they brought them to school. We talked about that vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, but they had to design their own. So they became the designers, and then I sent their designs over to my friend at the textiles at our high school, and then those kids brought them to life. They became the seamstress. But then what is so nice, this is the second year we've gotten to do the project, but we just leveled up, correct? Like, Karisa came in and said, why don't you document it in a book creator? So then that way the kids really can see in first grade your process of how you actually had everything you had to go through in order to make this book. But not only did they create a Squishmallow for every single one of our first graders in first grade, so 87 Squishmallows were created. They also, each student received their Squishmallow and a QR code. And they came back, and then they had to use their Chromebook and scan that QR code, which showed them how to use that function. And then they were able to see a book made for just them about the life of their Squishmallow and how it's now in their hands and now their Squishmallow. So it's just, and then it just brings my kids joy, but it brings these older kids joy, having that connection. And like you mentioned, Farmer, is if there's a reason, right, it's going to affect more people. They want to please the teachers. They want to please people. But if there's a reason why, and we give them more of a reason, like a life reason why, like reality, what something's real, how life really works, right? Then they just invest in it, and they can't wait to do their personal best on that project. So yeah, it's super great. We had so much fun doing this, but it just, that level up bonus of last year with the book was so great.
That's what we call a Yeehaw moment.
It was definitely Yeehaw.
And you got to be there for it, Farmer. I'm so glad it timed up. So she was able to talk with the high schoolers and about their process and see their books and see the final like squishmallows before they landed in the first grade hands. I just I'll never forget that. And the high schoolers won't forget it, but those first graders will think about it. And maybe I heard Dayna say this one time. I mean, maybe those kids are now going to want to take a facts class at the high school because they want to do the same thing that was done for them in first grade. So it's just inspiring all around. And I know we could talk about this all day long. Thank you for being here, Farmer. We're going to have to do a part 2 because I know things are constantly
I mean, we have to do a part 2, not only on the podcast, but a school visit. So we got to do some Magic School, some Book Creator app smashing, where I go, Karisa goes, we gotta put it
be a yeehaw.
We're going to do it. We'll make sure we put that out for everyone so they don't miss it. For sure. Well, thank you so much for being here. Speaking of Magic School, we're going to be with Magic School next podcast. Oh my gosh, October 20th. It's going to be here before we know it. So around fall break time for people, but we're going to be really excited to dive into the updates with Magic School and some really cool ways. Like Farmer said, app smash, right? You don't have to just stick with one tried and true. Figure out how things work together and projects come to life. Season 3 is here if you want to go back. Rewatchables, right? All of them we feel like are pretty good. And then as we close out, we would love for you to give us a little bit of feedback. And I think we can send some Book Creator swag your way. So we'll pick a couple winners.
We kind of can. We have those connections.
I feel like we probably could.
So that is my favorite photo on the left.
Yes.
It's my favorite photo.
With your hats
I love
on.
that.
It's fabulous.
And they all just crowded around her. Like,
we got to do that again.
To help one student, and they all moved all their devices, and super special. Obviously, we love everything about you, Farmer, and what you're doing and bringing to students worldwide. And so we can't thank you enough for being here today. If any of us can help you with anything, we always have our contact info here at the end. And Dayna,
thanks for watching. We are
Yay.
See you guys.